and Hodgson. It's Thorman who captains the side, and Robinson is the scrum half. There is some local interest in the forwards as well. Crabtree, Alker and Paul Wood of Warrington. Wild, Radford and Wilkin. And on the bench, it's Jamie Jones-Buchanan, Stuart Reardon, who will be at Warrington next year with the Wolves, Darryl Griffin and Andy Lynch. And the coach, as we say, is Carl Harrison. Now then, the New Zealand team. Warrington's Henry Farfili is the fullback. The three quarters, Webster, Fatuira, Harpy of the Bulls and Vatuvai. Motutoni of Hull is playing at standoff, and Lance Hohaya gets the chance to make his mark because, of course, Stacey Jones now in France and then on his way home for the birth of his child, and will not be taking any further part, we are told, in the Tri-Nations. So Lance Hohaya, a big day for him. Then it's the new Wigan star, Paliasina. Faiumu is the hooker and Pulatuya. Louis Anderson and Ali Lauatiti of the Leeds Rhinos captains the Kiwis, and Bronson Harrison completes the lineup at loose forward. And then on the bench, there is a smattering of Super League stars here. Robbie Paul, of course, the new man at Huddersfield. Joe Vanganar of the Bradford Bulls, Willie Poaching of the Leeds Rhinos, and Frank Pritchard. And the coach is Graham Norton. So this is the scene at the moment in the England dressing room. They will be tense. They will be, I suppose, up for this, hoping to put the record straight, because Paul Cullen, it was a stuttering performance against the French a fortnight ago.
It was. The preparation has been broken a little bit. One or two guys have been injured who possibly should have been in the England starting lineup. But you've got to have a little bit of adversity, and it's not a bad thing for this England side that you have to show your wares, and you've got to come through a little bit of adversity. You've got to play out of position. You've got to do things that you might not ordinarily want to do, and put yourself out to represent the country. I've had some great times when I coached the England side along with John Kerr, and this side is it's still the core from that setup. We've got a very good breed of young English players, and they're going to be tested here today, because the Kiwis, although they were very relaxed, they look very, very confident, and they set an awful lot of their store out by being a strong team unit. They got together before they trained, they got together while they were training, and they got together at the end of the training session. So the Kiwis are playing for a lot of pride and team spirit.
And I must say, Phil Clark, Brian McLennan, he has done a magnificent job. He's virtually unknown, obviously unknown in this country. He has only coached in the New Zealand local competition, if that be the right word, but he has brought such pride to the black and white jersey, hasn't he?
I think probably coaching internationally for the 5 or 6 weeks you're together is a different job to coaching for a club side that plays obviously for 10 months throughout the year. And yet he's managed to get his side together for that period of time, focus on what they do well, and do it to the best of their ability. They, as you've said, they seem to play with a great degree of freedom, and if you allow them to play with the natural skills that the Kiwis undoubtedly have, you see them as the best, which is as one of the best sides in the world.
And we've already mentioned the team lineup. Lance Hohaya, the scrum half, Steve-O, he really has got to put his mark on this match, hasn't he, Hohaya? Because he's got the chance here to take over from Stacey Jones as the teams emerge.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for him in many ways, because interesting to watch how the Kiwis will go without the skill of Stacey Jones. We've known for quite some time now that Jones is the linchpin. He's the man that really sets both, not only the three quarters going, but also the forwards. He's very, very quick around the play the ball area, and also goes into first receiver. So it is a big opportunity for the New Zealanders to perhaps just play their way in, and this is all about preparation. This is why we will see a very good performance from the Kiwis. They will not hold back. This is not just a run in the park on a Sunday afternoon. They will want to show that they can gel together without Stacey Jones.
I don't know whether you caught a quick glimpse there of Leslie Vainikolo in the stands. Of course, he might well have been playing for the Kiwis in the Tri-Nations had he not had to undergo the operation on the knee. There he is, Leslie Vainikolo. OK, he will be no doubt singing and taking part in the haka shortly. But the national anthem's on the way now. New Zealand's anthem will be sung by Kay Jordan. The English anthem will be sung by Martin Toll. And after the anthems, the boys will be across in commentary where they will join Bill Arthur.
it out, and so too are the England boys, for a big test for them. This might be a New Zealand invitation side, as it's officially described. Jason Robinson, the Australian referee, in charge of it, but it is a massive challenge for these England players, and the challenge will be thrown down first by the New Zealand side. Robbie Paul, as ever, putting his heart and soul into it. He's a great performer. Understand that Robbie's got a little acting role coming up. Well, he didn't do a bad performance there, Phil.
Passion, wasn't it, there from the Kiwis, and I'm sure this afternoon will be about passion. It also needs to be about performance, though, and England will be fully aware of that. Maybe the benefit for them going into this game, Bill, is the fact that they go in as underdogs. Difficult situation at Headingley a couple of weeks ago when they played against France. It was hard for them to lift. That won't be the case when they can see the guys playing them here today.
Well, England will certainly have to raise their standards in comparison to that performance against the French. It's New Zealand who'll get us underway, and Hull's Motu Tony to get this game here at the Halliwell Jones underway, and a first touch for the England captain Chris Thorman and his Earl Crabtree. They'll be looking for him, will the New Zealanders, and they've found him. There's a lot of bulk in this New Zealand side, some big players out there and some bulk on the bench as well. But Great Britain, England I should say, have got plenty of pace on their side. Malcolm Alker making some good yards for them. Paul Wood, he'll be getting a special cheer here on his home ground.
I know that one of the things that England will want to do when you talk about speed, Bill, is to make sure they get some speed at the play of the ball. They want to play the ball quicker than Great Britain did when they played New Zealand just over a week ago.
Henry Farfili on his home pitch, playing at fullback for the New Zealand side today. Getting his first touch of the ball there. That's Efeta Paliasina. He's driving the ball up, and he'll be in Super League next season playing for Wigan. Bound to make a big impact, he is. And now they're running this ball. That's good defence by the England side, and they've managed to force the player into touch. That's great work all round by the England team.
Well, that's a fantastic start for England there. They'd really compressed the defence for the first 3 tackles, and then when New Zealand shifted it, they managed to adapt in time. You see Robinson working, communicating with Hodgson, and then driving through the legs and to force the Kiwis over the sideline. It's a great first start.
Nowhere for Paul Fatuera to go. Hodgson, one of the players brought into the England side this afternoon. Adi Gardner out because of an operation. And that's a good start for Hodgson. That'll boost his confidence to get involved, and successfully involved so early on. Here is Earl Crabtree. Big performance from him against the French. Scored the match winner in that game. Alker. Paul Wood. Characteristic running style. Head down and making some good yards there, Wood. Off goes Alker, taking them on. His opposite number. Fayumu is there to make the tackle, aided by Paliasina. Robinson looking to referee Jason Robinson, his namesake. That's the 5th tackle. England not impressed by that. And it was Louis Anderson, I think, who's involved there.
It's a great 5 tackles there from England, making good meters, playing the ball quickly. What a tackle here now, as you say. It's a great beginning to this match for them. Strong defensively and put into a fantastic position now in which to attack. The kick to touch. First test for the New Zealanders on their own line.
Bit of indiscipline from Anderson there, punished. And here's Crabtree looking to punish them still further and finding a bit of room to manoeuvre there. New Zealand just a bit lackadaisical in defence. Robinson switches it back infield. Wood is tackled just about 5 metres out. Olka, Thorman now, what will he come up with? A stuttering step from him, and then here's John Wilkin. Wilkin brought into this side from the Great Britain squad. Thorman almost ghosted through himself there. Olka pops the ball up for Crabtree, trying to use his strength. He's still going. He's right on that touch, on that try line. And that's the 5th tackle. Olka, Wilkin, they're running it. Robinson stabs the kick in, and that's going to run dead. Jake Webster confident that that was going to go dead, but it's a good start for the England side.
It was, wasn't it? Whether Wilkin was looking to kick through the kicks from the second receiver out there at Robinson. You know, the difference between sides at this highest level really of rugby league very often is that last tackle play. The side who can put it, keep it in the in-goal area, keep the pressure on the opponents, very often are the side who go on to win. Such is the difference, the minuscule difference. Here's a forced handling error.
Louis Anderson has spilled that ball, and it's a great opportunity. Here's Ben Westwood. Westwood playing on his home pitch. He'll be looking for a big performance in front of this Warrington crowd, who've turned out in good numbers here. Now Stephen Wild, another player brought in from the Great Britain squad to bolster this England side. So this is a really promising start for England. The mistake from Anderson, gifting them possession. Crabtree, nowhere for him to go, but gets it away to Thorman, and then Robinson darting back in field, trying to use his footwork there. 2 tackles gone. Crabtree again, he's seen plenty of ball early on, he's seen plenty of the New Zealand defence as well. A willing worker is Earl Crabtree. He's driven back a couple of metres there by a good tackle from Tony Puliatua. Thorman once more, a little step from Thorman, almost ghosted through. It was a crucial tackle from Louis Anderson there. Olka. Robinson now. Robinson, oh, lovely darting step from Luke Robinson, almost through again, and they really are exploring this New Zealand defence. It's creaking. Can they unhinge it? Little chip kick. Calderwood is there! And the referee, Jason Robinson, will go to the video ref.
Okay, that's the last tackle. Can he take the onside and the grounding and the dead ball?
So has the master poacher Mark Calderwood come up with it that time?
Well, we talked about Steve Cross. Players. Here's a great example of it. Just a short, delicate kick. The players seem to be onside from that angle. Calderwood certainly behind the kicker Thorman when the ball goes to his foot. You can see it again. That angle confirms it. He is onside. The referee now waits as the ball. It's a great kick into the in-goal area. Does he gather the ball and ground it successfully? That angle from behind may be inconclusive. You might get to see from this a better shot.
He certainly loses it, Phil, but then I think he grabs it before it hits the ground. Yeah, it hits his leg. That'll be tried. That's TOY time as far as I'm concerned. Good start by the English boys as well.
Paul Kellan on the left-hand side. What's your verdict?
Just want to say how hard Mark Calderwood worked for that try. Hands on the ball, that's a try every day of the week. Probably the only time in that set of 6 Mark Calder was in shape. He followed every single player who took the ball throughout that previous set and finally got on the ball on the last play. Massive effort.
And he's been rewarded with the first try of this game. A fantastic start for England. Relentless pressure, and the mistake from Louis Anderson early on in proceedings really led to that Calderwood try.
And fully deserved as well, Phil, because basically the build-up by the prop forward, Earl Crabtree, has been outstanding. Looking for work, the skill of Thorman, the little dink through. The 2 halfbacks, Thorman and Robinson, they really have been testing this New Zealand defence, and this is game on. This is no Sunday afternoon stroll. The English boys have really taken it to the Kiwis, and they will have to bounce back, because the confidence that's running through this English camp is quite superb.
Chris Thorman a try and 3 goals in the victory over the French, and he's off the mark via the upright against New Zealand, and England off the mark ahead by 6 points to 0. And Mark Calderwood, top try scorer in Super League with 27 tries, 35 in all games over the season, and continuing where he left off in the Super League season.
Mark Calderwood, I've said it before, reminds me a lot of Martin Offiah. He scores so many tries because he puts himself into the right position. As Paul Cullen pointed out, he works hard to be in the right position, but his game awareness is fantastic.
Robinson taking an age to gather that kick and then finding Paul Sykes, and Sykes dangerously close to that left-hand touchline, but managing to stay in the field of play. I think Lee Radford gave him a bit of assistance there.
Surrender!
John Wilkin taking the tackle on his own 40-metre line. Here's Paul Wood again, driving that ball in.
Richie Mathers there, just pushing up in support, trying to hold the defender off him, getting that quicker play of the ball from which Radford benefits. Great to see players supporting the ball carrier.
There's a bit of spice out there, 1 or 2 verbals being exchanged off the ball, I think. And Louis Anderson has a fair bit to do then. There's Graham Norton, former Kent Invicta player Graham Norton. All those 20 years ago or so, he appeared for Kent Invicta. Alongside the likes of Gary Freeman and Mark Elia, he was saying. Shantaine Harpy now.
And 2, stand up and get square.
That was well taken by Henry Farfili. So New Zealand with a bit of work to do.
Yeah, and the second half of the job now for England is to show some aggression in defence here. Can they contain this go forward from Paliasina and his teammates?
Paliasina, former New Zealand warrior, now a Wigan warrior. And they'll be looking forward to seeing him in action next season. Rebuilding going on at the Wigan side. It's the 5th tackle. What's the kick like from Lance Hahaya? This is a big game for Lance Hahaya, of course, with Stacey Jones out of the reckoning.
Stephen Wild deserves some credit there, Bill. The pressure he put under Hahaya has made that gather and return just a little bit easier for Mathers and Calderwood alongside him.
Motu Tony came steaming in there to try and take Calderwood out. He just ghosted away from him. Really deceptive player, Calderwood. Mathers had a lone spell here at Warrington, so he knows this pitch. David Hodgson, on the back of a great season for the Salford City Reds. Hodgson and Ulker, his teammate, making good yards for England up to the halfway line. They're finding gaps in this New Zealand defence. Here's Paul Wood.
Well, they're kicking on the front foot, aren't they? They're going forward, they've got good metres in possession. When it gets to the kick option, well, he's able to put it where he wants it. Look at the chase again. There's that Calderwood on the left-hand side this time.
Jake Webster running that ball back.
And stand up!
Got a try against Great Britain last weekend. Paul?
Just have to be careful when Mark Calderwood is working that hard. He's completely out of position. Give him credit for doing so, but if the Kiwis pick on it, they can shift down their left edge. And you basically leave Ben Westwood on his own with a lot of ground to cover. So 10 out of 10 for effort, but England have got to cover around the back and make sure they don't allow the Kiwis any easy yards, digging out of their own 20 and 30.
That was Bronson Harrison taking the tackle, a West Tigers player, but he missed out on their grand final success, did Harrison. This is a big tour for him, the likes of Harrison, the next generation maybe of Kiwi internationals. Louis Anderson shifting it again out to that Kiwi right-hand side where Fatuera is tackled. England doing well defensively, and then Lance Hahaya puts the kick in, but it's straight into the capable hands of Richard Mathers. And Mathers will run it back at them and then lose the ball. Oh, capable hands.
Well, what, 10 minutes in now, the first big test for England. How will they respond here? Mistake inside their own 20. It's a good hit there. Shoulder contact, just spins. I'm not sure whether Lance Hahaya got his hand under the ball intentionally there to just try and pull that one down. It's a great position for them to attack here now, scrums. This is what Kiwis love. A bit of space, their outside backs and their footwork.
Let's get it in. It's out.
Here's Henry Farfili. Wild with the tackle, aided by Chris Thorman.
To me, 30.
20 metres out then, the New Zealand side. Motu Tony just pops the ball up for Ali Lauatiti, who's captaining this New Zealand side today, the Leeds Rhino. England defenders right back on their try line. And the ball's popped up to the big man, Manu Vatuvei, and he's lost that ball. Referee says it went backwards, and Ben Westwood looked up at Jason Robinson in absolute astonishment there. And here come New Zealand. They're surely in for the first try. Well, there's that one going forward, Mr. Robinson.
It's going to go to the video referee.
You're kidding.
Well, it's a definitely knock on. He tried to offload at the very last moment. But he can't blame the official. He's probably unsighted. It was a good play. They're looking to get away with it, New Zealand. Certainly was a knock-on down on this left-hand side. Lost full control, that should have been it. And then, when Westwood, it was the second knock-on, that really should have been The scrum down, head and feet.
I think the referee, Steve, thought that Vatuvei lost the ball backwards here.
He has. That's play on.
So then it's a knock on here from England and play on again.
Actually, it was reefed out by the Kiwi, wasn't it? Pushed back.
Pushed backwards.
Yeah.
It was play on. The referee may have made, and the linesman
He got
may
it
have made
right.
the right decision. And I think the referee is going to speak to one of the England players who's given him a little bit of mouthful in back play.
Well, I think I'm proved right there, despite the weight of opposition in that particular argument.
Well, he's bringing it over this end.
So that was
Well,
the
that's
original
an
knock-on. Ali Lauatiti.
Interesting.
That's left the judges up here mystified.
Well, it's no try, is it, either way? It's England ball.
It's been a long season for
Stay
everyone,
back.
hasn't it?
Keep your head in, Brunson. Let's
So
get it in.
a let-off for England there on both flanks, and a warning of what this New Zealand side is capable of, and they're capable of some very strong defence there as well, and that's Stephen Wild going backwards. They've got some work to do to get out of trouble here of England. Suddenly the New Zealanders have just stepped it up a little bit.
I think that was a feature of the test, wasn't it, at Loftus Road last week? They can play in bursts, can't they, of energy, really, where they just hit you with it, be an attack or defence. They can just turn up the heat and they can contain England. So how do they get out of their own quarter here? They're going to have to do something well and find a good kick.
Lee Radford trying to do that. Louis Anderson again involved with a heavy tackle, and Radford certainly felt that. Anderson is putting himself about. That's the 5th tackle. They're on the 30-metre line. Louis Anderson, younger brother of Saints Vinny. And then it's a good kick. That is a good kick. Henry Farfili all the way back on his own 10-metre line to retrieve that, and a pretty good follow-up by the England lads.
Great chase, isn't it? You know they're doing well when you can kick like that and follow it up. And then can they contain New Zealand? Put some pressure on their first 3 tackles here.
Movement.
Motu Tony trying to make a little bit of ground. Well, New Zealand back in action next weekend against Great Britain, a crucial game, one that Great Britain have to win. Sky Sports 1 from 5:30. And one or two of these New Zealand players looking to impress their coach, Brian McLennan.
Oh, it's a big problem for Calderwood.
Calderwood involved in that tackle, is down on his knees in back play at the moment. As New Zealand attack on the other flank, and England trying to force Fatuira into touch once again. Hahaya will put the kick in, knowing that England are struggling on that left-hand side. Oh, well, it's been brilliantly taken, and Manu Vatuvei gets over that try line. And while Calderwood was struggling and is still struggling, the New Zealanders capitalised. And 19-year-old Manu Vatuvei, the new beast, was really unchallenged. Calderwood was struggling, is still struggling, now limping back to join those England players behind their try line, and Manu Vatuvei capitalised.
You know, if you just switch off for one play in this game against a side like New Zealand, they're going to score a try, and that's exactly what they did. Too simple, really, at this level. The high kick, Vatuvei the only person underneath it, and it made it look so simple after England working hard for the opening 15 minutes. Great kick from Ohio, perfect position. Vatuvei comes underneath it. Well, nobody from England anywhere near the ball, and the disappointment there now for the guys in white.
Pretty good thinking as well by the little halfback. He realised that Calderwood, of course, was not in a defensive pattern.
So Lance Hahaya back in action after injury last month, and playing for a place against Great Britain next weekend. New Zealand level it here at the Halliwell Jones, 6 points apiece. Mark Calderwood is back in action.
Well, there just weren't enough white shirts interested in the ball coming down, or even interested in escorting any of the New Zealand runners coming through for it. Look, it's only really Vatuvei goes for it. No other Kiwis, and Mathers can't stop him with that distance.
Bottom line, in those situations, you've got to get off the floor. No guarantee you're going to get the ball when doing that, but if you don't get up, you've got no chance of coming up with the ball unless it's a sheer fluke. So those in the air, those who are challenging, always come down with it.
Manu Vatuvei Got a try against Great Britain last weekend. Could have had a hat-trick, in fact. The video ref, Bob Connolly, ruled out another couple of efforts from him. And he's still very green, this left winger. Puliatua. New Zealand starting this game sluggishly, but just in the last 5 minutes or so have just started to, as we've said, pick up the pace a little bit. They're just short of the halfway line. Here's Branson Harrison. Fayumu goes on his own. David Fayumu, he's tackled, and England on the back foot as Lance Hahaya hoists another kick. Richie Mathers is underneath this one. The chase is on from Motu Tony. Mathers has taken it and then gives it to David Hodgson, and Hodgson almost through there. It was a good tackle from Harrison to stop him, but England trying to capitalise now.
Well, that's great transitioning, and coaches talk about turning from defence to attack. As soon as they received possession, he knew where his winger was outside, in a good position to take possession, and back, they're off in attack.
They're away down that left-hand side, and Calderwood has made a remarkable recovery. He's going to take him on his own. He'll go all the way. 1 minute he was limping, the next he's legging it. What a recovery from Mark Calderwood. And whatever was in that physio's magic sponge did the trick there. Mark Calderwood gets his 5th England try.
Well, Richie Mathers and David Hodgson deserve some credit for this. They got the ball rolling, and then good hands out to the left wing. Mark Calderwood selected to play on the right wing, finds himself, as Paul Cullen says, all over the field, and in a position where they just outnumber the Kiwi defenders. You see the number 3 for New Zealand, Paul Vataraira. He's stuck there at marker, sends a guy short of defence, and he capitalises with his speed. Mark Calderwood, fantastic finish from a winger. Look here, take up some space. It's a quick play the ball from Alka.
It was good play by the English guys, because they could tell that they were very slow to back up on that right-hand side in defence. An elite little offload. And as I say, he goes looking for work, and this is a superb winger's try. Look how he comes in on the arc, in and out. It's what wingers love to do. No chance for Fafili. And he'll celebrate that. 5 minutes ago, he was looking as though he was going to leave the field of play. He refused to do that.
Chris Thorman from wide out on that left-hand side, looking to drift the ball in, has missed that, but England have signalled their intent. That was really adventurous, and they capitalised, Paul.
Absolutely. You've ever seen a player sending a signal to not only the England coaching staff, but the Great Britain coaching staff, that he's on a mission to get into the main side? It's Mark Calderwood. He's done it with his performances with the Leeds Rhinos all season. Wasn't happy about being left out in the main squad, and he's showing Brian Noble, he's showing everybody that he's the next man in.
Brian Noble's watching. He's sitting in the stand there. Carl Jennings, the team conditioner, alongside him. And they've seen Calderwood at his best so far this afternoon. Both sides of the pitch.
You know, Bill, it might only be a small thing, but New Zealand, their kickoffs are good because they're very dangerous for the, very difficult, I should say, for the England team to take. Sooner or later, they're going to get one that goes their way.
And the pitch here is very, very lush. The grass is thick. It's wet, bit slippery, so the handling's been impressive. Here's Daryl Griffin now, introduced to the fray by the England side. Runs into Feta Paliasina. Thorman looking for a 40-20, is he? Fafili, though, is stationed in just the right position to retrieve that ball, loops round to run it back. And on the follow-up is Alka and Stephen Wild. Fatuvai, that's a good defence from the England side, but Fatuvai is taking some putting down on his own 30-metre line. Here's the other wing, Jake Webster. Fatuvai is big. This guy's stocky. He's different prospect, Jake Webster. And here's Lautiti now. Room to move for Lautiti. Lovely little characteristic flip out the back from Lautiti to Fatuvai. Lance Hahaya back in field to Paliasina. They make it look so easy, these New Zealanders. And Motu Tony then stabs the ball over the top, and Mathers knows that that one's going to run dead. probably be disappointed with the end to that set of 6, will the New Zealand side. Carl Harrison just sending out instructions.
They've looked very dangerous, haven't they, when they move the ball wide to the centres. Perhaps sometimes catching England, and as the game goes on, that's an area of concern, I think, for Kyle Harrison and the England side, Paul.
Yeah, the Kiwis have shifted to their right-hand side, trying to get Paul Whatuira over the top of Luke Robinson. It's a bit of an obvious ploy. You know, Luke's defence is probably not his best asset, and they're trying to force some issues down that side. But you've got to give him credit, Luke Robinson. He plays full of energy, full of aggression, and he's going to stay on his feet, and he's going to hit as hard as he possibly can.
Lance Hohaia penalised there for offside. It allows England to take play up to the 40-metre line, and here's Ben Westwood. Oh, that was a big challenge from Fatuvai. He is a bit of a beast. Andy Lynch, and Lynch using his strength to make more good yards for this England side. Off goes Ulker. Stuttering run from the Salford City Reds captain. 3 tackles gone. Lynch again. Just short of the try line, England. Coming looking again. They lead by 10 points to 6 here at the Halliwell Jones. It's been a great start from them. Wilkin can't keep that ball alive. That's good defence from the New Zealanders that time. The Saints man was just crowded out there.
He did, didn't he? Paul Whatuira did very well on Wilkin, just shunted him over the sideline. He knew he was outnumbered really at one stage, 3-2. But him and his wing partner, Jake Webster, handled the situation pretty well.
Whatuira, a grand final winner, of course, just last month against the Cowboys.
Seconds down, seconds.
So it's New Zealand head and feet at this scrum on their own 10-metre line. And Webster stepping out of one tackle there and taking them 10 yards further up the field.
He's holding it.
Keeping the ball alive here. Here goes the hooker, David Faumu.
He's got great footwork, hasn't he? Just as he gets in front of the defender and the defender's trying to put a shot on him, just changes direction, then goes forward. Hard to really get a hold of.
3, stand up, square.
Frank Pritchard is on, just taking the tackle there. Here's Shontaine Harpy. Harpy does well to keep it alive, and then Henry Farfili is buried by John Wilkin. Bronson Harrison. Harrison has lost that ball. Play on, says the referee. And a real scramble. And they'll come back. No advantage for this England side.
Well, they'll be pleased to get possession, but they'll be slightly concerned that in that set, New Zealand were able to find a couple of good offloads. And if New Zealand are able to offload the ball, it makes them very difficult to defend against. Naturally, they'll love to keep the ball alive, and if your technique isn't good in defence, well, you have to do 10 tackles every time you've got to do 6.
Oh, Sykes has gone without it, and Whatuira has swooped on that loose ball. Disastrous start to that set of 6 for England, immediately conceding possession, and they could pay for it now. Paliacina out to the back door. Pritchard immediately involved, and Sykes just went without it. He saw Whatuira coming up on him. Lance Hohaia, Motu Tony. Sykes trying to retrieve the situation while he forces Motu Tony to change direction and just puts the brakes on that New Zealand attack for a little while anyway. Faumu, Hohaia again. Louis Anderson trying to take him on the outside. Good defence from England so far. 4 tackles gone. New Zealand threatening. Bronson Harrison, nowhere for him to go.
Done very well, Luke Robinson, then on 2 occasions.
Hohaia now, again kicking across field once more. The man mountain, Manu Fatuvai is there, but this time...
You've changed your line to take him out.
Well, Calderwood got to the ball, but England are penalised for, I think, taking the man out as Manu Fatuvai.
You can see what the referee's thinking, but he's not changed his line. Stephen Wilder stood perfectly still there.
You're absolutely right, Phil. The referee has made a mistake. What you're not allowed to do is run off at an angle and deliberately charge a man coming onto the ball. He hasn't done it. He stood his ground, and the Kiwi ran straight into the back of him. 10 out of 10 for Mark Calderwood. He got off the floor and he got the ball.
Well, this could be punishment for England here, because it's a great position for this New Zealand side. Whatuira coming across the field. Thorman trying to close Lautiti down. He goes back the way the ball came to Zali Lauatiti, then pops the ball backwards, and it's still alive. It's gone backwards.
Up and hold.
Referee Jason Robinson not doing England any favours. They've had to put up with the Australian referee last night.
Surrender four.
They've got another Australian referee today.
Stay square.
Griffin with the tackle on Hahaya. Ball back in field. Oh, great defence again from England. That's the 5th tackle. Stopped just short was Paliasina. They've lost the ball, have the New Zealanders. Play on, says referee Jason Robinson. Well, and eventually they come back for the knock-on.
He attempted to grub it through to the in-goal area. I think it fell into the arms of Stephen Wild, but he couldn't take position. Great tackle there by Griffin. We'll see here on the last tackle. So the attempted grubber in the in-goal area. It comes forward off Wild there. And the New Zealanders get another chance to attack England.
To be fair, I think justice was done there. You could see that the centre, Ben Westwood, made no attempt to get back over the whitewash, which you must do within that 10-metre line.
Relentless pressure at the moment from this New Zealand side, looking to level the scores here at the Halliwell Jones. Fatuira, Hodgson doing a good job on him again. They're trying to get him into touch, and they've done it again. Great defence from this England side.
Tremendous spirit shown by the boys in white.
And the sort of spirit that Carl Harrison embodied as a player as well.
This is quite superb. Oh, great stuff. Hodgson, Sykes, talk about putting your body on the line. They did the right thing. Referee has got it absolutely spot on. And look at Richard Mathers slapping them on the back. There's great spirit out there.
Well, it's got England off the hook there.
Well, there are times in a game where, you know, you make the mistake and sometimes you just got to cop that. It's what you do on the back of it. You know, England put the ball on the floor from the previous scrum, made themselves a little bit of a, you know, hard work to do, but they've dug in deep. They've come up with some good defence. You know, Big Griffin, the prop forward, try-saving tackle, and now the 3/4 have pushed the man in touch. So there's some great signs there for England.
But they're struggling to get out of their own half. They're under real pressure from New Zealand at the moment.
Every now and again, New Zealand can do this, can't they? They just hold you still for 5 or 6 tackles there. Luckily, they've crept up to the 35. Again, can they find the long kick? This time it's Wilkin.
Big boot from John Wilkin straight into the midriff of Henry Farfili, and he'll run it right back at this red and white defensive line.
Well, the New Zealand camp will be quite happy with the way that the defence has been, especially in the forwards, but it's just out wide, and that's where England have got to start pinpointing. They've been successful out wide. We've already seen the beautiful try from Calderwood, and that's where the Kiwis could be a little bit soft.
Graham Norton watching there, Brian McLennan alongside him, having delegated coaching duties to him today. It's a bit of a family affair out there because Graham Norton's son Dale is one of the conditioners of this New Zealand tour party. He's involved as well. New Zealand pressing at the moment, looking to get on level terms. Again, Hahaya kicks. Again, Calderwood is there to take it. Oh, and trying to find a little bit of space, Calderwood. The tackle from Frank Pritchard. But he's looking dangerous, is Mark Calderwood. Looking for a penalty there. Referee Robinson saw nothing wrong.
Well, they've been under pressure, haven't they, now, for about 5 minutes inside their own half, England, and if you continue to spend that length of time in there, something cracks eventually. They need to get forward, whether it's a penalty or a break. They need to get out to their half because the New Zealand dominance just keeps on increasing.
Now's the time to be patient. Just keep on with the go forward, but your kicking game has got to be very, very good. The kick needs to split the winger and fullback, possibly rolling goal, and that England will get that energy burst to get to the other end of the field and hold the Kiwis in deep.
Mathers just scrambling at another couple of metres up to the halfway line, and then Alka puts that kick in, but again it's straight to Henry Farfili. He didn't have to move for that ball, it came straight to him.
Stand up.
Well, that's the second occasion that England have just made it very soft indeed for the full-back. Carl Harrison has got to get the message out and say, look, you've got to kick into the open space, you've got to turn these Kiwis around.
Shantae Harpy nearly lost that ball. Here's Jake Webster, and England are penalised.
I think they're just starting to tire. Maybe watching on television, we can appreciate the size and strength of the Kiwis. Even when Australia or Great Britain play against them, they do begin to take it out of their opponents. Sheer physically, it's hard to hold on to them.
Big Joe Vangenau's on the field. What's he, Phil? About 19, 20 stone. You know, he's just going to take some stopping. He's just going to roll onto this ball, and you've got to be at your best just to keep hold of him.
And there he is in possession, the Bradford ball, and popping the ball out the back door to former club colleague Robbie Paul, now a Huddersfield Giant, of course, Robbie. Motu Tony, Hull FC, with a Super League involvement at the moment, Super League input into this New Zealand effort. What can they do? Here is another Super League player to Shantaine Harpe, and Harpe is in, and the dam has burst. And they made it look so easy then, after all that valiant defence from England. New Zealand just clicking into gear there and running smoothly through the gears, and Leslie Vainikolo will have been impressed by that.
I think he'll have been impressed by the fact that his team built that try, didn't they, over a 5 or 6 minute period, just got downfield, and eventually the skills allied with the field position converted into points. Nice passing there, gets outside of Thorman. Calder was lost then with his winger still outside him. Good short passes, players running into holes, and Harpe, well, he'll score from there all day long.
As a coach, you'd like to see your half-backs kicking the ball from good field position. I don't care whether it's Stuart Fielding or Malcolm Alker, they're not the blokes you want on the ball when you've got to come up with a great kick. That should have been Luke Robinson, it should have been Chris Thorman. Henry Farfield is playing his first game ever at fullback, as far as I'm aware. Last time he played for the Kiwis, he played at standoff, and every kick has gone straight to him. Someone somewhere has got to split the wingers and fullbacks and turn the Kiwis around, make them come from their own 20. The kicking game's gone a little bit soft, and we're paying the price.
Lance Hahaya then to give New Zealand the lead. He's done that. And Hahaya converts the try scored by Shantaine Harpe. England 10, New Zealand 12 here at the Halliwell Jones Stadium. And that looked ominous for England, Phil.
It did, yes. Here we see Chris Thorman was just attracted to the presence, really, of Alalawa-Titi, and that creates the space for Harpe to go over outside of him. But with the skill and the size of the Kiwi side, you can't really afford to defend on your line for very long. Somehow somebody will find a way over your line. They must try as best they can to stay away from that area of the field. You've noticed a fatigue maybe setting in with England, Steve-O. They're now not putting the kicker under pressure when it gets to the last tackle.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that the defence from the Kiwis, especially in the forwards, has been extremely tough. They are a big outfit. All of them are very big, including the three quarters as well. And I think that England will be playing into their hands if they try to take it down the middle yet again. We've already seen, and especially early in this first half, that they've got to utilise the ball out wide. That is the one problem that they've got. Oh, there's a penalty for not playing the ball correctly.
He's playing it as I've called.
Robbie Paul just querying that, and Joe Vagana wanting to know exactly what was there, because he never got into a position to play the ball, I think.
Well, I don't know what from Joe. I don't know what play the ball.
Yeah. And he's a bit mystified, is Joe Vangana there.
Well, that just goes to demonstrate his strength, though, Paul. He was able to play the ball while three men were trying to tackle him.
I think he's just caught the referee out. He was that cool and confident with it. He was soaking up the attention from three defenders and just pops it down and plays it. He's caught the referee out with his smartness, I think.
Well, he's been penalised, and England with an opportunity to level the scores through Chris Thorman's boots. Took New Zealand 33 minutes to get their noses in front, and Thorman has his way. It won't last long. He's a very accurate goal kicker, as this Geordie standoff, man of the match against the French at Headingley just a couple of weeks ago. And straight onto the posts, not 30 metres out, and should be a formality for Thorman. It is. And England are level again. Well, they're hanging in there. But New Zealand have had the upper hand, certainly, for the last 15 minutes or so.
And that was good thinking of just winding the clock down, giving the chance to the English guys to a bit of a breath back. He'd be quite happy, Carl Harrison. It's been an impressive display, especially in the opening 15 minutes.
Well, he's got an unbeaten record as England coach so far. He won't want to see that go without a struggle here against the New Zealanders anyway. Daryl Griffin having to pick that ball up on his own 10-metre line, and then is immediately devoured by the New Zealand defence. Andy Lynch now If England can get to half-time on level terms, that will be a very commendable achievement by Carl Harrison's side. Wilkin. Griffin.
That's 4.
Just up to their own 40-metre line. 4 tackles gone. Now here's Lee Radford. Radford just had to adjust for that ball, and he's spilled it, and they could pay the price here. Shontayne Happe galloping away, dragged to the ground by Stephen Wild. And this is an opportunity for the New Zealanders to regain the lead here. Robbie Paul to Joe Wagner, who just swats Luke Robinson aside there. Get out of the way. Then offloads back to Robbie Paul, and he's swallowed up by Andy Lynch's tackle. Lance Hahaya. Nobody on the move for New Zealand, though. A little bit static. Now Willie Poaching trying to get them going forward. Big day this for Willie Poaching, achieving an ambition here to play in black and white of New Zealand. Here's Frank Pritchard. Pritchard is dumped to the ground. Good tackle by the tackle machine, Malcolm Alker. Paul pops it up. Lance Hahaya, and a great ball to Shontayne Happe, and Happe using his strength. Can he get it down? Great defence from England that time. 4 tackles gone. It was a lovely pass from Ali Lauatiti that almost sent Shontayne Happe in. The danger's not gone yet. Here's Motu Tony. Motu Tony will take him on up the middle. Then to Joe Vangana. Vangana pops it over the top. They're going backwards, and Henry Farfili picks it up. And that's a loss of yards, considerable loss of yards for New Zealand. They're on the 5th now. The chance has gone surely. So Lance Hahaya again hoists a high ball. Richie Mathers just stood and watched that one bounce. That was dangerous. And a let-off for England there.
Well, you're right, Bill, just to survive there, but here they won't survive for much longer. Mark Calderwood's got trapped in goal. And that's a costly error. Great kick again, dangerous one for them to deal with.
I was just going to say, Phil, that whistle can't come quick enough now for half-time. That extra weight, that extra experience that the Kiwis have over this young England side is just beginning to take its toll. And big Joe Vangana, we saw him make that that so-called mistake a little bit early on, where he tried to play the ball without being tackled.
Well, there's
whether he got it wrong or we got it wrong, you know, he's just playing with these guys. He's swatting people off.
There you see a bit of a problem for Lauatiti. Probably twisted the ankle on that. He's refusing to come off the field of play. He knows there's only 2 minutes remaining of this first half.
So they come down the other side to New Zealand.
2. Movement.
Just a couple of minutes to go until half-time. Can England survive and hold them at bay here to keep this scoreline level? Here's Farfili. Thorman wrestling with him, trying to bring him down on that 20-metre line. Radford is there to help out as well. Lance Hahaya, little darting run from Hahaya. Calderwood, oh, that was cool from Calderwood.
Well, I'm sure England will be delighted there. They must have talked about surviving for 1 minute there from that goal line dropout, and they did it. The accuracy of the kick, or inaccuracy of the kick, I should say, probably just helped them out there with it going out of play. And they'll just now want to complete here and get to half-time.
This kick has got to be very good. Complete this set, put some length on it, turn Henry Farfili around. 12-12, you'd take this at the start of the game against a side as good as the Kiwis, with as much talent, as much skill and as much experience.
Lynch doing well to offload there. Well, throwing caution to the wind for a moment. Wilkin keeping it alive. Jamie Jones-Buchanan as well. And then Paul Sykes is tackled just short of that halfway line. Robinson. Wilkins gone without it. Still 40 seconds or so they needed to complete that set.
Well, that's just the experience of the quality of this virtually full international side that we're seeing here from New Zealand, and the inexperience that we have. Some of the guys learning their apprenticeship. Now, there's no problem about making mistakes, but you've got to learn from it. That's a completion. That's kick and chase and have a go at the other end.
Not a good pass from Lance Hahaya, made Shontayne Happe have to adjust and pick that ball up from his toes. Stacey Jones, of course, unavailable. Lance Hahaya playing for that position. Looking a little bit rusty as the New Zealand number 7. Here's Big Joe. Takes 3 of them to bring him down. The clock running down. It'll be a kick surely from Lance Hahaya with the seconds ticking away. That's 1 for Vatuvei to chase. Mathers is back there and hurls the ball into the crowd. There goes the hooter, and Carl Harrison Harrison's side have done him proud in this first 40 minutes. And Graham Norton's team haven't yet hit the heights. They've been made to battle all the way, and at half-time, the sides are level. England battling proudly. It's England 12, New Zealand 12.
Terrific first half for the English. Well done to Carl Harrison and his team. That's 4.5 games unbeaten now for Carl Harrison. And what about this fellow, Mark Calderwood, showing a clean pair of heels to the New Zealand defence, giving Brian Noble a nudge, maybe. England 12, New Zealand 12 at half-time.
What a run it is! Senior to win the match! Oh, spectacular! Oh, fabulous! Unbelievable this! What a magnificent try!
Tri Nations continues next weekend. It's Great Britain against New Zealand. It's a 5:30 start on Sky Sports 1, and it's quite simple. Great Britain have got to win, and by quite a margin as well. 5:30 Saturday night, Sky Sports 1. See if they do. I'd like to think Great Britain were playing this New Zealand lineup, but I don't think they will be. It's 12-all to in this international. 12-all, England and New Zealand. Oh, well, nearly down the cul-de-sac.